Greetings, everyone. Today I finished reading Small Gods by Terry Pratchett, first book I've read of the Discworld series, of which there are like 42 or so novels. There's a lot of different places you can start. You don't have to start at the first books because a lot of people say those ones aren't as good. There's different trilogies within the world. This one's kind of a standalone. It's about how the gods of the world work. If you don't know anything about Discworld, it's about a flat Earth that's on the backs of 4 elephants that's on the back of a turtle that's flying through space. And there's also this death character that's like the Grim Reaper. And there's a trilogy on death, which is probably the one I'm going to read next. It starts out with a book called Mort, because his name is Mort, like the French word for death. And he has an apprentice that he's going to take over for him being death or something like that. Sounds pretty interesting. This one, the Tutor Ramble guys on YouTube, booktubers, they really highly recommended this. And they said it's one of the best books of the series, and it's like a great starting off point. I didn't really see that. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I could see the appeal of like a comedy fantasy or a comedy sci-fi like Douglas Adams. Terry Pratchett's like the fantasy version of Douglas Adams, I think, even though I haven't read Douglas Adams yet. It's just kind of all over the place. It skips around, rambly. He kind of like... It's the main character, he can't read or write, but he has a perfect photographic or whatever eidetic memory. He can remember everything since he was born. His first memory was like, he said, it was hard to breathe and I saw a white light and then somebody hit me. It's a lot of like funny quotes like that in the book. So if you like funny quotes, I feel it's like the 80% of people that are like not, like kind of like NPCs. People that would like get swayed by Trump or something. The 80% of the people in the world are kind of dumb. And they could maybe be entertained by something like this. But I wasn't that entertained. I wasn't like laughing my ass off. Like a lot of people say, like, I was laughing at every line. Nah, I didn't really see that. But it was funny at times. So the world has these gods, and the more people believe in the gods, the bigger they are and stronger they are and more powerful they are. Like a lot of them can't really do a lot of normal god stuff, and all the books about the gods is kind of like made up by humans. So there's all these legends like saying gods do this and that, but they're like, we don't know anything about that. That's just something somebody made up. It's not something we ever said to write down, like in a Bible or whatever. And this god, the great Om or whatever, he's like the god of this one town. Like every town has kind of like their own god. And there's also these small gods that are like kind of forgotten gods that shrank down to like whatever, and they kind of like, it's there's so many gods that it's like fish in the sea or something like that. So the great god Om is a turtle. He becomes like a turtle, not the turtle that the world sits on, but a different turtle. And Eagle picks him up, and he's like going to look for a place to drop him so his shell will break where he can eat him. There's all these jokes about like turtles have a lot of good meat on them to eat or something like that. People are always saying every time they see this turtle. But the turtle, he doesn't die. He lands on something soft, and then he finds this guy that still believes in him. One guy that still believes in him. So he starts speaking to him through his mind, and he becomes like a prophet. It's a guy that can't read or write, but has perfect memory. And it only kind of comes into a play because they go to this library where this guy Vorbis is kind of like this evil bishop, deacon, or whatever of this church that still worships Om, but nobody really believes in Om, but just kind of become like a corporate thing or whatever. He tells them to burn the library down, so the guy looks at all the pages of the books and all the library, and he memorizes all the scrolls and everything. He doesn't know how to read them, but he can look at them and he can like redraw the letters later because his memory is so good. So he kind of starts absorbing stuff from the books, even though he can't read them, which doesn't really make sense. Maybe there's pictures in some of the books, so he kind of gets smarter throughout the book, and he kind of wanders through the desert with this guy Vorbis, and the god doesn't care at Vorbis at all, and he's like going to like, they're looking for water in the desert, so they see these lions, and he's like, we're taking Vorbis' body so we can like give the lions something to eat while we steal the water and get out of there or something. And I don't know, there's this other group of guys that are like building a tank that's in the shape of a turtle, and then the people from this other town, like they kind of somehow they pissed him off and they were after him after he got out of the desert. I don't understand that. Like, why are they trying to kill? The guy's name is Brother, and there's a funny line about he's like a low level religious guy, and he says he figured out he's got this perfect memory. Vorbis did, so he's gonna take him to this other town. He says we may have to start calling you Father Brother or Brother Brother or something. It's like jokes like that. I mean, they're kind of funny, but it's like you're not gonna laugh your ass off or something like that. Yeah, so they're trying to make like this torture device that's in the shape of a turtle, which is actually based on this actual torture device of a bull, I think. Like, you put a guy inside this hollow metal thing and you cook it, and you light a fire underneath it and it burns them. And it just like tortures them because they're constantly being burnt by this metal, but it's not enough to kill them or something. I should make a whole video about like ancient torture devices because I've seen a lot of weird ones. I heard about them in podcasts and stuff too. Anyway. This didn't turn me off to the series. I still want to read Mort. And there's also a series about witches, and there's a series about the guards in Ankh-Morpork, is the main city. And it's not really in this book, but it's in the other books. It's called Guards. And then there's it's either The Color of Magic or The Light Fantastic. It was like the first book, and it's a trilogy about wizards. So witches, wizards, death, guards. I don't know if there's any more trilogies. There might be. That's the ones I know about. Anyhow, people have always recommended I should check out Discworld, so now I have. Not that impressed with it, but I think there's also like a video game based on Discworld, or there was going to be, and then somehow Terry Pratchett died, so the rights reverted 50% to King Charles because the Crown of England got all the copyright when somebody dies or something like that. Or if it expires. So I don't know if they're going to keep making a video game series based on this. I don't really care if they do. It probably wouldn't be that good. But there you have it.